Hi, you guys. Finally, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been like a year, and so much has happened in that year. It's so crazy. But we're going to save that for a whole nother day, okay? Today, we're going to talk about something a little different. I get a lot of DMs about the process of becoming a flight attendant. And I remember when I was, actively flying, I remember people were stopping me in the airport asking, like, what do I have to do to become a flight attendant? Like, I want to do this. Like, this seems so fun and this and that. So, this is going to explain the interview process of becoming a flight attendant. And then, once I finish explaining that, of course, other questions that you guys may have, I'll just answer those in like a separate video. So, I have my handy dandy notebook. And these are like some of the things that I wrote down that I didn't want to forget because I want to make sure I touch every point. Before I get into it, I want you guys to please do me a favor, and I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. It is down at the bottom, right there in red. It's right there. And also, I want you to like it. I want you to comment. Maybe have some questions. You can put the questions in the comments below, or you could just tell me, what are some things that you guys want to see on the channel going forward. I mean, we're all on quarantine, so why not watch a little YouTube, right? So, I also want you guys to hit the post notification button at the bottom. That's the little bell. Hit the post notification button. That's going to notify you whenever I upload a video. So you don't have to come check on my page and stuff like that. Like, it'll literally be sent to your phone as soon as I upload something. So convenient, right? So, I'm going to talk about the interview process. It was intense. It was very intense, actually. Probably the most intense interview I've ever been on. I'm not a big interview person. Like, I don't like interviews. They make me nervous because I think that the people purposely try to make you nervous. But it's pretty intense. I don't want to scare anybody off, but it's worth it for sure. I mean, every job has its pros and cons, of course. So there are some things that you might like about it, some things that you might not like about the job. But overall, it is so beneficial, especially if you love to travel. Perfect job. Okay, so I have like a timeline of everything that happened. I applied for the position I think it was January 4th 2018. I applied. They sent me my invitation January 9th 2018. So it was only like 5 days of, I guess the waiting game to see if they would say anything, which didn't take long at all because I know some people who applied way earlier and didn't get a response until way after me. So it really just depends. I mean, I guess every situation is different, every person is different, so yours might take a little longer, yours might actually be shorter, but I mean, the gist of it is that they responded pretty quickly. The interview process, the email that they sent me told me when the interview was going to be, where it was going to be, what I needed to bring, what I needed to wear, the pay, just different things like that. So yeah, so I had my interview January 31st. That was 2018, of course. So everything happened in January. January 4th, I sent the application in. January 9th, I got an invitation back to the interview process to go to the interview. And then on January 31st was the actual interview. You have to pay for your own flight and hotel. So I guess that's why they kind of separated to, so far apart, because you have to pay for your flight and your hotel, which can be a little costly, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. So you have to wear interview attire. You don't want to go there and be in no green or red suit. Like, it's not that kind of party. Just put on a nice, I mean, I had on a white button down, a black blazer, a black skirt, black heels, red lipstick, did my makeup, pearls, and I just did my hair. So you don't have to do too much. You want to stand out, but you don't want to like do the most. So I would recommend, as far as colors that you should go for when going to an interview, I would stick to my basic blues, maybe gray, black, maybe tan. I think tan might be pushing it. I really don't. Okay, listen, because we don't know what these jobs are looking for when we do come in. I think your personality definitely outweighs what you have on, but you still want to be professional. So, not saying you can't wear any color that you want. You can wear any color you want. Just make sure it's professional. Don't wear anything tight. Don't wear anything short. Just go there expecting to have a real interview and be judged based on your appearance. Of course, because most flight attendants are very beautiful. So they hire people that they feel like are attractive. So just make sure you just look really nice, look really professional, and just have a great attitude going into the process. So I arrived at my hotel the night before the interview. I prayed, I meditated, I was so excited. I was so excited. Like it was just about to be a new journey for me because I'm the baby in my family. So I knew that when I got the position, if I got the position, because I didn't know at the time if I was going to get it or not. Well, I knew because, but I knew when I got the position, I was going to have to move out of state. So I had to prepare myself like, okay, are you ready to leave your family? I mean, of course, you can always travel back to them and see them and stuff like that because the perks of the company, you can travel anywhere in the United States for free. If you find a flight and you want to go somewhere, you off. If you're not working that day, hop on a plane and go. And that's it, which is amazing. That's like the best part of the job. Of course, if it's out of the country, you have to pay taxes on the flight, which is still not expensive because it's still not the same price as an actual ticket. So, yeah, so I enjoyed that, but I had to prepare myself mentally to be able to just leave my family because I've always been like a mommy's girl and I'm very, very family oriented. So it was hard to like even think about leaving them, but I knew I had to do what I had to do. Like I wasn't happy with my current situation and I needed a change. Like when I say I needed a change in my life. So that's what I did. So yeah, so they tell you to arrive at the place. I don't know what the name of the place was. I know the interview process was in Florida, so we had to fly out to Florida. I can't remember what the place was or where it was. I just know that we had to be there at 4:30. So I had to call my Uber. I got there. I don't use Uber. I use Lyft. I'm sorry. I'm just playing. No, for real though. I called my Lyft. The Lyft brought me to the place. We have to be there for like, I think the opening time was like 5. But I got there like 4:30, 4:45. Which is rare because I'm not the best person when it comes to time. But guess what? I was on time when I got there. So I got there at like 4:30, 4:45. I can't remember what time they closed the doors, but once they closed the doors, I know they had a closing time, and when they closed them, they had, I think, over 520 people in the place for the interview. That can be so nerve-wracking because I don't know anything about the airline industry. I've never had experience in it before, and I know a lot of people that came, this was like maybe their second interview, or maybe they worked for an airline before. Like some people had experience in the airline industry prior to this interview, so they may have been a little more knowledgeable on the topic. I wasn't. I was not a flyer. I was not a frequent flyer. And yeah, so I was nervous, but I made the best of it. But when we were standing in line, we were kind of just talking, because they tell you to get in a line. So everybody's in line with their paper, and everybody looks all nice, and makeup done, hair done. Guys got the haircuts with the slacks, and it was cool. So, of course, you talk to the people in the line next to you. I didn't know the people, of course, but I was talking to them. We were just discussing, like, what we were expecting, how nervous we were, like, what we prepared for, where we were from, all this different stuff, right? So, it made the time pass because we were able to like communicate with other people, but it felt long because we had on heels. Well, the women had on heels, so it kind of, you know, it hurt, but it was okay. By the way, I have my notebook because I wanted to keep like tips of things that I wanted to say. If you see me looking down, that's why I'm looking down. I promise I'm not like crazy or anything, or trying to like avoid eye contact. No. They tell you in the packet that you receive in your email, once you get the invitation, they tell you what paperwork you need to bring in to have with you for the interview. So they tell you like your current resume, your passport, your, high school diploma. You do not need a degree to be a flight attendant at all. You don't need to go to college to be a flight attendant. They give you the training once you get the position, because every training in every airline is different. So once you get the actual position, then you go to training. You don't have to go to college to be a flight attendant. You don't have to go to a special school or anything to be a flight attendant. Trust me. So yeah, you have to have your completed like 10-year work history, education, all of that stuff like that. So you have to have all of that different stuff, and you have to, I think, bring the actual invitation itself. So they make sure that you have like majority of your stuff. They tell you how many copies to bring and everything. So once you get to the front of the line, there's a table, and there's people on the opposite side of the table, of course. They have name tags. You get your name tag. You tell them your name, of course. You tell them your name, or you show them your ID. They give you a name tag, and there's a colored sticker on the name tag, and then there's a number on the colored sticker. I hope that wasn't complicated, but like they give you a name tag, and then they have like different colors on, like they give you a name tag with your name on it, and then there's a circle sticker in the corner of that name tag, and then they tell you what group. That tells you what group you're gonna be in based on what color you get. I think my color might have been like gold. I think they might have had like green, gold, you know, just different colors. So I was in the gold group, and the number, I think my number was like 23, 24, something like that. And that just kind of, I guess, identifies everybody without having to say their name, because, you know, you can't pronounce everybody's name. So you just call them by the number. So after that, we went to a big conference room, and in the conference room, they had like a screen in the front. They had music playing really loud. They had the flight attendants that currently work for the airline. They had them in the front of the room, kind of like, you know, hyping everybody up, clapping, you know, dancing, doing different things. So that kind of made the situation way more relaxed than what you would expect when you go to an interview, because when you go to an interview, of course, your heart is just in your stomach because you're nervous. Not everybody, but I was super nervous. And when I saw that everybody was kind of like chill and like, you know, just talking, and it just made everything way, 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 way less nerve-wracking. Okay, so that was really good to see. So that was kind of like a meet and greet, where they kind of introduced, like once everybody got in there, they introduced the company. They told us some facts about the company. They told us what the company was looking to do in the, you know, near future, the growth of the company, how many flight attendants they were looking to hire within the next couple of years or next couple of months, how many more aircrafts they were planning to get, just different stuff like that. And then of course, they had like question and answers and stuff. And then they called us and told us, then they told us to go into our groups based on our colors. So they're like, okay, green, you go in this group, in this room with this person. Yellow, you go in this room with this person, blah, 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 whatever. So, like I said, I was in the gold group. So I went into my group, and this section or this portion of the interview was called the fishbowl question. Now, I read about it on glassdoor.com. I did read about what to expect with the fishbowl question, but I was still nervous because sometimes nerve can overpower what you already know just because you're nervous. So it was something called fishbowl question. Let me tell you what the rules are. The rules are not if you get the answer right to the question. I'm pretty sure that plays a part, but that's not the main deciding factor. I think the main thing that they're looking for is that you're able to follow directions, right? So they tell you, they get to the front of the room, they introduce themselves, and they tell you exactly what you have to do. Tell you, okay, when I call your name or when I call your number, you come up here, you grab a question out of the fishbowl, you introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Gian Hollingsworth. You say your number. So, hi, my name is Gian Hollingsworth. My number is 24. And then you read your question. You answer your question. You state your name again, and then you like put the question down on the table or whatever, and then you go back to your seat. Okay, I'm not sure if that's the exact directions, but that's like the gist of it, okay? But you can go on Glassdoor and you can look up exactly what they ask, because I'm not sure if that's exactly the order in which they do it in, but I do remember those specific steps. So you go up there, state your name, or you grab a question off the fishbowl, state your name, state your number, state your question, answer your question, state your name again, put your name down, put your question down on the table, and you walk back to your seat. It can seem like it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's just, you just answer the question. But when you're nervous and you got like 40 people looking at you and you knowing that you're being judged, it's kind of like whatever. So I did really well. I'm not gonna lie. I did really, really well. I think my question might have been something like, how would you describe the color yellow to a blind person? I can't remember exactly what I said, but clearly it was good enough. Another one of the questions I think might have been like, what's your favorite book and why? Or, just it's stuff that the answer can't be wrong because it's your opinion. So it's not something that you should be scared or nervous about. It's more so just following the directions and not looking too nervous. But I think they give you a pass because I think they know and they expect people to be nervous. So I don't think that they like judge you based on your nervousness. So then after that, after everybody went, which I said they had like 40 people in a room, right? So after that, they tell us to, they say, okay, we're about to go in the hall, we're about to deliberate. So they go out in the hallway and everybody's kind of just sitting there like nervous, like not knowing what they're about to do. So they come back in and they're like, okay, if we call your number, stand up, go outside the door. If we don't call your number, you stay in the room. So at that point, it's like, okay, if they call my number, I don't want to get excited. But if they don't call my number, I don't want to get excited either because I don't know which group is going where. Like, if they call my number and I go outside, they could say, okay, you're moving to the next round, and you go to the next, wherever you got to go. But if they don't call my number and they say, okay, the people, the numbers I didn't call, y'all got to, pack your stuff and go home. Like, you don't know which group you're going to be in. You don't know which group is the group that's staying. So that's oh my God. So we just sitting there, they calling the numbers. They didn't call my number. So I had to stay in the room. So they told us, congratulations, you guys made it to the next round. And I'm just like, oh, like it was like a big weight off my shoulders because that was the thing I was mainly concerned about was the fishbowl question. Because when I went on Glassdoor, which this is not a promotion for Glassdoor.com, guys, but I'm just saying that really helped me. Because it's like there's people that are flight attendants that tell you exactly what to expect, right? So I went on there and I studied the questions that they said they were probably going to ask, and I wrote note cards. I studied those note cards. I had my own answers, of course, but I studied the questions to see like how would I answer each question differently. So I did that. So I was shocked that I did so well because sometimes you can over prepare. So I felt like maybe I had like overdone it, or like I was like too ready for it to where I was just going to think I had it and I was going to mess up, but I didn't. Thank God. So then after that, we went to lunch. And by the way, the lunch was so expensive. Like, we had to pay for our lunch. I think they had like cold sandwiches for like $10. We had like a Sprite for $3. And I'm just like, what is this, a baseball game? Like, this is like, we here to get our coins up. And y'all charging us. Whatever. All I know is I'm happy. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the airline that charged that much. I think it was the building was where we were getting the food from. So I think it was them that was charging that much. I don't think it was the airline, but either way, they should have had lunch provided, because we was there for a long time. And when I say a long time, I mean a long time. So at that point, I think we went back into the big room and we did the questions and the answers, and they called like maybe 5 or 6 people out at a time. Those people went into like a little room where they had circle tables, and you go to one of the circle tables, wherever they call you to, and that's where you do like the actual interview process, where they ask you questions, they give you situational, things, stuff like that. So eventually they called me, and I went to the room, and I think I had one lady, and she was asking like the basic interview questions. What was your previous, work history? Like, where did you work before here? Where are you from? Different things like that. They ask you situational questions like, what would you do if this happened? What would you do if a customer did this? What would you do if this happened? So you have to be prepared to answer situational questions. Also, one of the questions that she asked me that I think floored her was, she was like, what would you do if you have a first time flyer and they're super, super nervous and they ask you like for advice, or like they're like trembling and you have to like calm them down? Like, what would be your advice to them? Like, what would you tell them? So I'm like, oh, well, I was in a business before this company, and we used to have conferences, and at one of the conferences, a lady told me about, she said, if you ever have somebody who's nervous or I guess unsure about something, you go through the feel, felt, found method. And I was like, with feel, felt, found, you let them know, look, I understand how you feel. I felt the exact same way too when it was my first time flying, but what I found out was blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh my God, repeat that, please. And I'm just like, okay. So I was like, it's the feel, felt, found method. And don't go to the interview and try to use my exact thing, everybody, because if everybody uses it, it's gonna get played out. So you gotta like kind of like, shimmy it, like, make it your own. How I'm gonna say that and not to tell you stuff. It's not about that. It's not about me, okay? So yeah, so feel, felt, found. You let the passenger know, like, look, I understand how you feel. When I first flew, I was, I felt the exact same way, but what I found out was it's really not that bad, blah, 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 and you just go on and go on, right? So she was writing it down like, oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, that was just great. And I'm just like, thank you. And she's like, okay, now you can go on to the, to lift the 50-pound bag. So then you have to, of course, you have to know how to lift the 50-pound bag. So we do that. You have to lift it over your head, and then they have to check your height to make sure you're over 5 feet, because you cannot be less than 5 feet, which by the grace of God, I am over 5 feet. And then after that, we went to the deliberation room, which was extremely cold. And I don't understand why people do that. Like, I don't understand why companies make the situation worse than what it is by raising the temperature or lowering the temperature. Like, it was so cold, so it makes you super uncomfortable and you're nervous, so you're trembling times 10. Everybody looked like popsicles in the deliberation room because we're all cold and we're nervous. But we were still talking and stuff like that. We were talking about, like, what did you say when they said this, and what your answer was when they asked you this, and you think they gonna call you? Well, girl, that was in the line behind us, she ain't here, they made her go home for the fishbowl question, and this and that. So it was like a lot of that going on, right? So we did that for a while. Okay, I was in that room for a long time, felt like forever. But eventually, like, okay, so when you're in the deliberation room, they call you maybe like 10 to a group. You call like 10 numbers, you go outside. They'll of course tell you if you made it to the, if you finished, because that's the last part. The interview process was the last part, the actual interview, and then lifting the suitcase. That's the last part of the interview. So by this time it's like 5 p.m. So we've been there for over 12 hours already. But so yeah, they call you to the hallway and they tell you whether you got the job or not. which I love, because I hate going to an interview and doing all that work, and then they say, okay, we'll email you, and it's just like, all right, whatever. So, so we eventually, they called me. I sat in the room for, I would say, about 2 hours strong. So they called me and a couple other people to the hallway, and the lady's like walking us to the exit, like to the door to leave where we came in at, like came into the building at. So she's like walking us out, not walking us out, but she's walking us toward the way to exit. And so we kind of just looking like, dang, like, oh my God. So she's like, okay guys, I appreciate you guys for coming out. I appreciate your time, because I know it has been a really long day. So I do appreciate that. But unfortunately, and when she said that, I'm like, when she said that, I just wanted to break down crying. As soon as she said unfortunately, that was it. Like, I knew my life was over. Not really, but like, it felt like it. Like, my heart shattered when she said, but unfortunately. I'm just like, oh no. But she was like, but unfortunately your day is about to get longer because you guys got the job. And so of course we're like, oh my God. So we're like screaming and like excited and hugging each other and stuff like that. And so after that, I'm texting my mom like, oh my God, I got it. I was so excited. Oh my God. That was one of the best days of my life. For real. I was so happy. I love when I put my mind to something and I achieve it. Best feeling ever. So after that we had to go do like a urine sample, take our ID pictures, which after 12 hours of sitting in the room or doing the interview process, you don't look the greatest. So everybody was all greasy but anyways, so we did our interview. We did our ID pictures. We did, we had to choose what base we wanted to go to, because of course you have to go to whatever the base is for that company. Every base has, every company has different bases in different states. So we did that, and we did the urine sample, and then we filled out a lot of paperwork, and then after that, that was it. And once I did my urine sample, they was like, okay, you're free to go. And it was like 7:40, maybe 8 o'clock. So it was long. Some people didn't leave until like 11 p.m. So for some people it was longer than, for others. But it was still really, it was nerve-wracking. But it was worth it. It really was, because I don't know. It just was worth it. Like, now that I look at the job and like what we actually do, I'm like, oh girl, the interview process was a piece of cake, especially compared to training. That's a whole nother video. Training is a whole nother video. With training, way more intense. It's kind of like a boot camp, like college boot camp kind of thing. I'll do a video explaining like the steps for that. But yeah, so this is to answer a lot of the questions that I had of people asking me, how the interview process was and things like that. So now I can refer them to a video. They can come here and watch it. And if you guys have any more questions or anything like that, you can write it in the comments. I'll like your comment and I'll respond to it, or I'll just do a video responding to the comment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Once I started as a flight attendant, I believe that's when my life really started, because I was able to be out on my own for the first time. I never lived on my own before. So I was able to like live on my own, and I was in a whole nother state away from my family. So like that's when like life really hits you, because it's like, okay, I don't have mommy to call to come pick me up. And it was just like, that was when like adulthood really hit. But it was worth it, and it was fun. I believe that was like some of the best times of my life. So it's worth it. So if you're gonna do it, give it your all. Do it. It's worth it. And then once you get your wings, you could just come back to this video and let me know. This is from my viewpoint, how I viewed it. If you guys have any questions, like I said before, comment. Let me know what you think. And that's it.